It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
Good stuff leading into the playoffs. I will say, watching this game got me super excited for the playoffs. Is it weird that I forgot how good Shai was?
I've kind of been reconciling with that the last week or so because there's been so much MVP talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on record and I said that Wemby was my pick. And I stand by it, but the longer I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, how is Shai or Jokic not winning MVP this year?
Yeah.
And, we watched this game that we're doing today, and obviously, Jokic is Jokic, but Shai, he wasn't even, that great in this Game 7. It wasn't, a top-tier Shai game, but he's incredible.
It's incredible, and we'll get into it, but, he also... I feel like he has so much responsibility. And, the team is great. Don't get me wrong. But at times it feels like, well, yeah, their team's great because anytime they need a look, he gets them a great one.
That's the thing, is, offensively, for as great as that team is, he still carries a huge burden.
Yes.
It's the fact that defensively...
Yep. I have that in my notes, literally.
You could put him on the weakest guy on the other team, and, he's still a plus defender. It's not like this is I don't even want to say a Steph in the mid-2010s thing, because I always felt like his defense was better than people gave him credit for, but, Shai is objectively a really solid defender, but by the nature of the way that this team has been built, he's often the weakest defender on the floor. Mm-hmm. And just knowing you have a bunch of fucking pit bulls around you and Chet on the back end protecting the rim, that's where life can be easier for Shai. Offensively, his burden is just it's every night. He is the offense.
Yep, without a doubt. And just, it's crazy. I was on my way home today, and I was thinking about, the pod and everything, and how last week we were talking about, the most impactful trades. Boy, oh boy, he might be number one.
He really might be. All due respect to Luka, I think the Luka trade is obviously jarring because totally unexpected. You know what he is. He's just been to a finals, but there's no way that there's any trade that has been as it just completely changed the trajectory of the Thunder franchise. They were kind of just in no man's land there for a little bit. The Russ thing is going toward an end. You can't get out of round one with this Russ PG team. They're probably going to have to go in the tank at some point, and
I think granted they have an amazing GM who
They do.
Maybe in his mind, he knew that he had a hidden gem, and that's, the way it worked out. To me, it seemed like it was more the Clippers wanted Paul George, and they were the ones. It wasn't like OKC was shopping Paul George.
Right. No. That was
Clippers wanted Paul George and had a specific package. So to me, it was almost like, were they trying to tank? And then they just stumbled upon maybe the best player that are going to see in the next 10 years. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So since that trade, just steadily, he averages 19 a game in his first year with the Thunder. And that's after he finishes 6th place in Rookie of the Year voting with the Clippers. So he goes from 11 points per game to 19 to 23.7 to 24.5 to 31.4. So that's his age 24 season. That's the 22-23 NBA season. That's like their like introduction into like, oh, this is going to be a pretty solid team moving forward. They got some young guys. They got the picks coming up. They have a good GM. He finishes 5th in MVP voting that year. He goes for 30 per game again the next year. Finishes 2nd in MVP vote. And then last year, he damn near scores 33 a game. He wins MVP. The efficiency is like the other thing is all of those years that he, like the last 4 years, he's been at least 51% from the field.
Yeah.
On 20 shots per game, and throw in 88% from the free throw line on 9 or 10 free throws per game. He's just a offense all by himself.
Yes. And
in a completely different way than like Jokic is.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But like just as impactful.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, so in the game I noted like a specific play. But really, like, he's their only shot creator. They run good offense, which sometimes, most times will generate a decent look. But especially in the playoffs when teams could scout you and, they tend to shut off the water on your first look on all of your actions, and you just need a guy to create a shot. He is kind of really, like, he's their only one who they go to often that is, it's like Harkenstein and him, as weird as that is. But they generate a ton of offense, though, off their defense. Right. Like you were saying, obviously he could guard the lesser offensive opponent, but he also gets a lift because of their defense translating to offense, and that's how other guys get involved with the scoring. And they just run good stuff. Like, they got a good coach, too.
Dagnall's great.
Yep. So, it's crazy. Obviously, we're talking about the NBA Finals last year as we're getting into our last episode of the Campfire. Thinking about how this team was built, like, that trade, my goodness. And it's weird because, like, yeah, that trade did, they got their best player through a trade, but it does kind of feel like this team's homegrown in a way, and it almost feels like Shai is, like, OKC's, like, they could claim him.
Well, yeah, because, like, we kind of hit it already, but, like, he was only 11 points per game as a rookie. Good rookie.
Right.
Got good minutes on a frisky Clippers team that, like, gave Golden State a couple competitive games in the first round of the playoffs that year. But he's so young, and really he came into his own in Oklahoma City. Yeah. Like, it'd be weird if the Clippers claimed him. That'd be like the fucking Timberwolves saying, like, yeah, Chauncey Billups is our guy. We had him for 50 games, and then we traded him, but he's ours. He belongs to us. It's like, no, he's a Piston.
Yeah, and I also feel like Shai, granted, he was really good in college, but it wasn't like he was this, can't-miss number one pick coming out of Kentucky.
Right.
So.
What pick was he? 11th. Okay. Oh, yeah. That's a bad beat. We covered that. Charlotte picked him and traded him.
Yep.
That's tough. No, what's interesting, so, obviously a whole lot has been said about how this particular Thunder team has been built. And obviously, Presti gets his flowers. Shai, he's about to be a 2-time MVP. J-Dub was third-team All-NBA last year. Chet is probably going to be third-team All-NBA this year, and we'll have a runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. Their depth is incredible. You got guys like Kason Wallace coming off the bench and A.J. Mitchell, and there's just an embarrassment of riches, and it all stems from that one trade for the Paul George trade. But then we have Indiana on the other side, and you could see the through line to the way that their team has been built to their original Paul George trade.
Yeah.
Because they trade him to the Thunder for Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis, who had 1 year with OKC. And then Sabonis ends up being the piece that nets them Haliburton 5 years later. And Haliburton is he makes this team go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And obviously then Miles Turner is a homegrown guy. They trade for Pascal Siakam. They have, guys
They've
like
hit on
Martin
some guys too.
And they find Neesmith, who he was kind of a cast off from Boston.
Mathurin.
But Mathurin, that's another who they've now since moved on from.
Right. Yep.
It's funny to me how Paul George, you could look at him and the 2025 finals was kind of like the Paul George Bowl.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't invited.
Yeah.
Playoff P did not get the invitation to the 2025 finals. So, on this topic, I was doing some research for today's episode, obviously, and I found that this was the first finals since the salary cap era began in 2002, where there wasn't a luxury tax team in the finals. And it's also worth mentioning, if we're just looking at media market size, Indianapolis rather, 22nd largest in the NBA, Oklahoma City 26th largest.
Yes, that's crazy.
So these two teams really are kind of like an aberration from where we started Campfire, where it's the Lakers and the Blazers, and the Lakers are the glamour franchise in the league, and we've hit plenty on Miami throughout this Campfire run and Golden State, but then you have the finals last year with these two teams who, on the surface, you look at that finals matchup, and I'm sure you remember, you and I talked about it. A lot of the discourse was man, this is a bad beat for the NBA. They have Indiana and Oklahoma City in the finals. Mm-hmm. And then you and I were there this series is going to be incredible. The way that these two teams play, it was going to be awesome basketball.
Yep. And honestly, too, their environments are great. They have that small town that pride that they take with their sports team, specifically basketball. I mean, obviously Indiana is basketball country, and OKC, that might be one of the more rowdy crowds in all of basketball. They've been
great since they came into the league. Obviously Seattle deserves a team. It's a crime that they had to lose their team for OKC to come into the NBA, but they are, for close to 20 years now, have been one of the best home court advantages in the NBA.
Yep. Absolutely.
So obviously the Thunder, we go into the playoffs last year, they're a juggernaut. They're 68-14. They have the best point differential for a full season in NBA history. Shai wins the MVP. We've hit on the roster already. On the other side, though, you have Indiana, who the year before had made the conference finals, but they start the 2024-25 season 16-18. That's their record when the calendar page turns to 2025. Then they win 34 of their next 48, but we get to the playoffs, and there's still some okay, can we trust this team? I remember having conversations with you ahead of the first round. They're playing Milwaukee, and you and I were kind of both in the position where we were like, are we really going to pick against Giannis, against a kind of unproven and not super sexy Pacers team?
Yep.
They win that series 4-1. They go to the next round. They beat Cleveland 4-1.
4-1. They beat the pants out of Cleveland too. In
the end, yeah.
Yeah. I thought they were gonna almost dismember Cleveland. I thought that was it for Cleveland based on, and I'm glad that they didn't, but based on how that turned out. So yeah, and then go ahead. Sorry.
Well, what's funny is they do kind of beat the pants off Cleveland, but there's also they trail by a ton in two of those games that they win, and that was the story of the Pacers in the playoffs. They were you just couldn't put them away.
Yep.
So they trail by 20 in the series clinching Game 5 against Milwaukee in round 1, and Haliburton wins it at the end.
Is that when? And that game? Correct me if I'm wrong. That's when Giannis and Papa Haliburton get into it, I believe. Do you remember that? There was
you are right.
And then
there's a lot of Bucks Pacers stuff. There was the Giannis trying to get the ball.
The game ball. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a whole lot with that. I like that. That was a version of Giannis I like.
Yeah.
The pouty kind of discontent in Milwaukee Giannis. We don't need that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they trail by 20 in Game 5 of that series. They trail by 20 in Game 2 against Cleveland after they've already stolen Game 1. They trail by 19 in the series clinching Game 5 against Cleveland. It was the Mother's Day game. I don't remember what game that was, Game 3 or Game 4. I just remember being in Nashville after Colin's wedding, and that game was on. They were up by 35, 3 minutes into the third quarter, and I was like, okay, this is not what I expected. And then they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and it's Pacers-Knicks, and it's nostalgia overload from the 90s. And it's kind of a shame that we didn't get that series on, NBC.
I know.
The Peacock era was 1 year away. But even in that one, they win that series in 6, but Game 1, they're trailing by 14 with under 3 minutes left.
Yep.
They go on a 20-6 run to send the game to overtime, capped by a shot we have in our intro.
Haliburton. He'll take it. He'll back pedal. 3 for the win. And no! He got it!
Do you remember when I texted you? I was so upset that I fell asleep that night.
You did fall asleep that night.
I was so mad.
So I went back and looked through all of our text messages from this time, just because I wanted to see how we were both feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel I think the message you sent me the next morning was, "Bro, what happened?" It was like the fucking Pacers pulled a rabbit out of a hat again. That's what happened. Haliburton hit a shot where the ball bounced 75 feet in the air, and
yep. I remember waking up and it's probably a top 5, top 10 moment where, and we all have them, I'm sure, where you wake up and you're so mad that you missed that result. There's a couple other games where how did I fall asleep and miss that? That's definitely one of them. So I can't add to anything because I didn't see it live. But man, that was, and you said it. That was just almost became the persona of Indiana.
And it doesn't stop in the Eastern Conference Finals, because then game 1 of the finals, they go to OKC. They're trailing by 12 at half. They're down by 9 with 3 minutes left. And then slowly, steadily, they just keep chipping away at this lead until they finally take their first lead of the game with under a second to go on Haliburton's third game winner of the postseason. Just an all-time playoff heater.
Second different shot clock and game clock. Gilgeous-Alexander spins, pulls up, jumper. Off the mark, won't go. Rebound, Neesmith. The Pacers with a chance to win it. Final seconds, no fouls to give. Haliburton looking. Haliburton driving, pulls up, jump shot. It's good! It's good! With 3/10 of a second remaining. Timeout, OKC. Tyrese Haliburton does it again.
So they steal game 1. Thunder come back, control game 2. They win that one by 16. Pacers win game 3 by 9.
And I don't think anyone expected that.
No.
I think that game 1 was like, oh, that's cute. You know, they won on the game winner. This is a cool story. And then, you know, the Thunder kind of they had them in control most of game 2. They ended up winning by almost 20. And I felt like at that point the media turned on Indiana and was, oh, this is gonna be a gentleman's sweep. Like that was the narrative.
That's kind of how it felt in the moment.
Yeah.
But then, and really in the first half of game 3, that's kind of how it looks. The Pacers outscore OKC by 14 in the third quarter. They get 27 off the bench from Benedict Mathurin. They win game 3. And at that point, I remember, like, they go up 2-1, and it's like, okay, this is no longer fluky. Like, sure, we could say it's kind of abnormal that they just made a habit of winning all these games when they're down by 15. But at a certain point, you just kind of got to, like, tip your cap and be like, okay, this is who you are.
Yep.
You're going to keep being competitive in these games. You can play with the best teams in the league. You're up 2-1 in the finals. That's not an accident. And, you know, we have a real series at that point.
That's what it was.
Whether people wanted to admit it or not, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, without a doubt. After game 3, it wasn't... I felt like even before the series, most fans, and probably us, were like, could they get to? Like, just give us as much basketball as we can get. Like, I'm hoping for 2. And then after game 3, it was like, uh-oh, like, wait, could they do this?
Are they going to go up 3-1?
Yeah, are they gonna, I mean, it's game 4 in Indiana.
Behind another home crowd that is just fantastic. We gave the Thunder crowd their props. The Pacers crowd is right there too.
Yep. And then Shai has a 35 ball, and they end up winning, but it's a competitive game. And I felt like after game 4, it turned into like, this is a great series. Like the narrative switched on this series. It felt like so much. It was incredible.
And, you know, the Thunder had to fight for that one in game 4. They're losing by 7 going into the fourth quarter. They end up winning by 7. It's not like they just reasserted their dominance in that game 4. It was like, man, they actually kind of stole one.
Yeah.
In Indy.
Yeah. And then game 5, J-Dub has to go for 40.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you don't, again, we kind of just were talking about how Shai really dictates, you know, a lot of their offense. And just for an example, Shai was the leading scorer on either team 5 of the 7 games this series. So, like, that, to have a J-Dub 40 piece is almost like you got to win that one. And they do. OKC takes the series lead 3-2, but it's an 11-point game. Again, you don't feel like it's a non-contest and Indiana doesn't belong.
It's an 11-point game, and Haliburton only scores 4.
Yep.
He doesn't make a bucket, and most notably, he strains his right calf in this game.
Yeah, he doesn't play many minutes, correct? Or
No,
that's
I think
game 6.
That's game 6 because Indiana jumps on OKC in game 6. They're up by 30 going into the fourth quarter. So I think Haliburton only played like 23 minutes in game 6. But they end up winning by 17. And we get the first game 7 in the NBA Finals since 2016. Another Campfire game that we covered. Anything else on either of these two teams before we get into the game? Did we spend enough time on Haliburton, the playoffs?
I mean, probably not, honestly, because like that run, especially for like who he was as a player, who he is as a player, you almost come to expect that from guys like LeBron and Steph. But I felt like his playoff run last year completely put him on another level. And we'll get into how sad it was that he didn't get to stay there for long. But, after game 1 of the finals, it was like, put some respect on my man's name. He's the real deal.
And it's weird, too, because, like, you look at the raw numbers. Throughout the postseason run that they had, he averaged 17.3 points, 5.3 rebounds, 8.6 assists. It's not like he's putting up just absolutely outrageous numbers. I mean, Siakam wins the Eastern Conference playoff MVP with the win over the Knicks. Like, it's not like...
No, it's just that offense, and he is the director of it.
And he hit every big shot.
Yes. Yep. And, we also gave, flowers to OKC for their coaching and their offense. But I thought Carlisle, what he has done or did for the Pacers and getting them out in space and making them run and shoot, like, he's a great coach as well.
The fact that he took this team to the finals and took Dallas to the finals in 2011, playing a completely different style.
Yeah.
With totally different personnel and a different era of NBA basketball. Like, he's just, like, he doesn't get mentioned enough, I think, is, like, one of the better head coaches in the NBA.
Absolutely not. So going into this game, I guess I would say, is you're going to have just great stories either way. That's how I felt. Like, you're going to get Shai, who gets to cap off an MVP season, winning a championship, putting himself in, the best player of the league category. And then on the flip end, if Indiana were to win, it's like almost feels like a Cinderella story in a sense that comes true, and you get Haliburton, and it got to the point where, like, if it was a fourth quarter close game, you were leaning towards Indiana.
And that's crazy to say because OKC had just been lights out in fourth. Because, like, we know Shai is one of the most clutch players in the league.
Yep.
But you're absolutely right. Like, I remember it getting to that fourth quarter in game 4 when they're up 7 going into the fourth quarter. And I remember thinking, like, the Thunder, they aren't going to beat this team in a close game.
No.
And then they do. But even still, like, going into this game 7, I feel like my thought process was, if they could keep this thing within 10 with 4 minutes left in the game, like, especially with it being back in OKC where they've already stolen one.
And they stole one at the Garden. Like, they didn't care.
Everywhere.
They didn't care.
Yeah. No.
And that's why when we got off to the start we got off to, I was like, oh boy, we're in for it. Because I was afraid that we were going to get into the game and OKC was just going to blow the doors off them and, potentially go up 20 early. And we didn't get that. And it felt like you said, like as long as they were in punching distance, like they might knock you out at the end of the fight.
Yeah. So starting lineups for Indiana, it's Haliburton, Andrew Nemhard, Aaron Nesmith, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner. For the Thunder, Shea, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein. So both teams come out a little shaky the first couple possessions. And Richard Jefferson, who's on the call, calling, I think, his first NBA Finals at that point.
Yep.
I thought he was actually really good in this game.
I like RJ. Yeah.
He said, right now your heart is pumping. It's pumping so hard. You're actively telling your brain, calm down. And that's exactly what it looked like for those first like two possessions for each team. What's the most nervous you've been for a basketball game in your life? Obviously, neither one of us have ever.
Yeah, not the NBA Finals.
Level, but believe it or not.
Yeah. The most nervous I have ever. That's a good question. It was the first finals I coached in. The first section of the finals I coached in. Way more nervous to coach. Like, not even close to...
That is 100% the reason that I have never even considered coaching. Because I would be an absolute basket case.
Yeah, and that's the truth. Like, as a player, you have, like, it's nerves, but it's excitement, too. It's like performance anxiety, where it's like... You just want to do well, but you also know that you control it. As a coach, once the game starts, you're done. Like, it's over. And I sometimes I feel like coaches don't understand that. But like, a coach's game is in practice. Like, how do you prepare your guys? Once the game starts, you're a glorified cheerleader. I mean, you could make some rotation changes, but if your guys aren't prepared, you're not going to be able to prepare them mid-game. So I was just always very nervous of like, did I remember to talk about this out of bounds set, or like, did I forget about this? So it was definitely coaching, but
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, for me, it was intramural basketball.
I love that.
And I think we played in the championship game, and it was my senior year of college. So obviously there weren't like the emotions of your senior year of high school where you're playing for your team, your school and your town and all that. But I knew it was going to be my last intramurals ever. That was really when I peaked as a player, which I think we've covered. Like, I was so significantly better once I was in college than in high school. And it kind of sucked because it was like pointless games. But with intramurals, it felt a little less pointless. And I had been playing so well throughout our intramural season that year. And I was like fully in the mindset of like, I'm going to be the best player on the court. I'm going to win. I'm going to feel some semblance of pride because I like carried this team, and we had good players, but like I won this championship, and I'm going to hang my hat on that. And it was more like the nervous excitement. Yeah. Not just like I'm a basket.
Yeah, that like performance
shaking anxiety in my boots before it starts. But yeah, you know, you feel the butterflies for something like that. I can't even imagine what it'd be like going into an NBA Finals game.
No, it's one of those where like, well, were you a napper? Were you a napper before games?
No.
Ooh, okay. So I was like an avid napper. I had to nap. Even if it was like a 30-minute nap, I always tried to figure out how to put a nap in my schedule. And there were, when you are in those big games, you're tossing and turning a lot more than you're actually getting some shut-eye. So, yeah, those are, and they're the most fun games, honestly. And it's weird because, you know, once the ball goes up, all that stuff does tend to go away, but then there are some other games where it sticks around a little bit longer, and that what RJ was saying, like, obviously the finals, it doesn't just go away after the tip. You almost have to, like, get a sweat, maybe hit the ground, see one go through to kind of get you back into it, because, I mean, the stakes are so big. I mean, if I was nervous about a Section 5 Class D finals game, I don't know what I would be like,
right,
as a coach or a player in an NBA Finals, and it's amazing. And obviously, Game 7, you tend to get that a little bit more than your normal finals game because it's win or go home. And we did get a little bit of the nerves early on, but got 2 middies to start too.
Yeah, so SGA gets to hit the mid-range early. I was really impressed with how hard Indiana was making him work for it.
Yeah.
Like, Andrew Nembhard played really, really solid defense on SGA, and, like, you get to the end of the series and you see that he shot only 44% from the field. The first, like, 3 or 4 minutes of this game explain perfectly why.
Yeah.
They like, their on-ball defense was fantastic. Like, he just couldn't get really those, like, slithery drives to the basket going.
It felt like they were able to shut, like, gaps.
Yeah.
When usually he's able to get into those seams, like, it felt like they were just very, like, intentional of, like, shutting off all gaps to the basket. Super active with their hands too. It felt like when anyone would get into, like, the lane, it was like, it might be a turnover because they're so good with their hands.
So yeah, he gets a couple buckets early, and then there comes the Haliburton stretch where he hits his first 3 of the game, and Breen immediately starts talking about the calf.
Yep.
And they mentioned that he only played 23 minutes in Game 6. Breen said that Haliburton had told him that it was tight going into Game 7. And it's really weird, and maybe, like, borderline negligent in some way. But I remember as I was watching this game live, I wasn't even really thinking about a scenario where he would get, like, more injured in this game. He hits a trio of threes in the first 5 minutes, and they get out to a 14-10 lead. And my mind didn't go to, like, God, I hope he holds up. But on the rewatch, knowing what you know, it's like you're watching a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's like putting on Halloween, and you're thinking that after Dr. Loomis shoots Michael Myers off the balcony, he's going to, like, look over the edge and see that he's still on the yard dead. But then he goes over and looks, and Michael's gone. You know it's coming on every rewatch of that movie, but it's still sort of, like, startling when it happens. And it was the same exact thing with Haliburton.
Yeah.
With the Achilles tear.
And, like, even going into the game, Haliburton was talking about, like, I know the risk, like, but I'm willing to take that risk to play in these finals. And it is kind of funny, though, like, if you think back to when KD tore his Achilles, he was coming off a calf strain as well, and he got off to a hot start in that game. There are some similarities there. Like, you come out. KD missed a little bit more time than Haliburton, but still to come out and be impactful right away, it makes it even sting a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
With that being said, going into that game, I was so nervous, and I feel so bad for my wife because when anyone has a calf strain, I become like the high school Harry and go back to glory days because I had a calf strain in college, and they just ran me out the next game, and I played, and thank goodness. We were bad my junior year. We weren't gonna make our conference tournament, and I had a calf strain. Or I got it the second to last game, and it's weird because what they say actually happens. It felt like someone kicked me. Like I took a back step, and it felt like someone kicked me, and I was like, "That's weird. No one's behind me." But then played in my last game, didn't get hurt, thankfully. But after KD tore his Achilles, and all doctors were like, "Well, yeah, you shouldn't have been playing. It's a strained calf." I was like, "Damn it, Cuca! I could have torn my Achilles. Like, what the hell?
No one tell me.
What's this?" So anytime anyone has a calf strain, I'm always like, at Cuca, I almost tore my Achilles. She's got to be sick of me telling that story. But I am, like, very cautious watching someone with a calf strain because I feel like if you play with a calf strain, you're flirting with athletic death.
And it's tough, too, because, like... And that's why I say it's negligent on my part that I wasn't even thinking about it, because not only did we have KD 6 years earlier in the 2019 finals, but we saw Dame Lillard go down in round 1 of the playoffs the same year. Tatum goes down round 2 playoff same year. And we know at this point that if you're playing with a calf strain, that is the next logical step of how this is going to be bad.
Yep. And I mean, Lillard had just come off the blood clot in his calf, too.
Yep.
It was so there were calf concerns. I don't believe Tatum had anything, but I tried to do some research into that today and yesterday. I couldn't find anything.
I don't think that there was anything with him.
Yeah, but those soft tissue injuries now in the NBA, I mean, you have to be really careful with them. And yeah, like you hear it, and at face value, it's like, oh, he's got a calf strain and he's gonna sit out, and it's like, well, yeah, because that's gonna make him hurt himself even more. And it's those soft tissue injuries have gone up, and broken bones and torn ACLs have gone down, and it's the style of play. I mean, it's pace and space, so you're not having these collisions at the rim anymore. Mm-hmm. So you're not having these awkward landings that lead to knee injuries, and knock on wood.
Yeah, do that.
But what you're seeing guys play with a lot more space, which means they have to cover more space on defense. They are playing higher possession games, so it's more up-tempo. It's more wear and tear on the body. It's not as physically demanding, like banging bodies, but the space that they're covering and the speed that they're playing with, it's leading to all of these soft tissue injuries.
So coming out of a timeout after he hit those 3 threes in a row, Caruso comes in, he hits a pair of threes off the bench. Mm-hmm. Nembhard hits 2 free throws, so we're tied at the time. And on the possession it happens, Haliburton's isoing against SGA, can't really get by him. The ball ends up in Obi Toppin's hands in the corner. Toppin swings it back up to Haliburton with 7 on the shot clock. And Haliburton plants for his first step and just goes down in a heap. And as the play goes the other way, which is a J-Dub dunk, you could see Haliburton lying on the court on his belly, just slapping the ground. He knew. Yep. And we knew, everyone knew, it was just terrible. And then after the dunk, they just go close on his face, and like he's already in tears. He's screaming, "No, no!"
Yep.
And it's weird. So I wrote something after the finals were over about Haliburton and the history of the defining player of a postseason throughout the history of the NBA. And I went back 20 years, and I wanted to kind of determine, like, who is the first player that we think of
Right.
from this playoffs? And it doesn't always end up being the finals MVP.
No.
Like 07, it was LeBron. Even though they lose in the finals, he was the defining guy of that postseason. There are a lot of examples where it is the guy who wins final, like Kawhi, defining guy of 2019. To me, there was no contest. Haliburton was the most defining guy of the 2025 playoffs. And it comes down really to two images. It's one, him doing the choke sign in MSG, which will live on just as long as Reggie Miller's will.
Yep.
And it's him on the ground in Game 7, realizing he's done, not just for this game, but for the next year. So, and I made that case in that piece, and it's just unfortunate that it had to end the way that it did. I only realized this on the rewatch. I don't know if you caught it the first time around or rewatching it, but the first guy over to give him a pat on the shoulder as he's on the ground was Shai.
Yep. I did notice that.
Which I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I think they knew it too. Like everyone knew.
Everyone in that, because like even on the dunk, like J-Dub finishes the other end. It's not like there's a huge roar of applause like there would be
the energy
on a fast break in a Game 7. Like everyone's eyes was back on the other end, knowing, oh my God, this guy, his season ended, his next season is done.
So much respect, honestly, just for him even trying. Like, and I think all basketball fans felt that way. So,
no, he talked openly, like you said, about knowing the risks of it. It's one of those things where I think that people who love the game of basketball, you and I and people like us, we would probably look at that and be like, yeah, I would do the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. But really, it's a much harder decision than that.
Yeah.
Like, it's very easy for you and I in the situation we're in now, or the situation you were in your junior year at Keuka when you weren't informed that you were putting your Achilles on the line. It's very convenient to say, like, yeah, of course I would have played. But, like, it literally cost him a year of his career.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee he'll ever be the same moving forward.
And that is just the craziest hard question to ask an athlete is like, you could risk putting your next season on the line, or you could risk never getting back to an NBA Finals again, and you chose to sit out Game 7. It's an impossible thing that realistically probably shouldn't have been his decision. And looking forward, I kind of hope in a weird way, and people will call me soft and, maybe I'm just too young, but like, as a business, you have to make sure that you're not going to risk one of your main sources of entertainment for the whole entire year. Like, he shouldn't have been playing. And I think that we've gotten to the point now where if you have a bad calf strain, you cannot play. I don't know why you would.
I mean, realistically, the only reason he was out there was it was a Game 7.
Yep.
I think even if it was well, I shouldn't say that because he did play Game 6 after he strained it in Game 5. So I was going to say maybe he wouldn't even have played if it was a Game 6, but he did.
And that's why you have to give him just a ton of respect. So the fact that he gets the player to remember of the playoffs, I think we should all honor that and respect that. It's a heck of a choice on your end, and he's got a fan in me forever. And honestly, it's not like I don't necessarily love his game. I like what he brings to the game, but he's got like a funky jumper. He's got like a funky game to him that it's just not. It wouldn't appeal to me, but after last year, like, I'll ride with him. Like, he's the man.
The thing I love about Haliburton is what Coach P always got on me about. The jump passes.
Yeah.
He makes a habit of that, and Coach P had to tell me all the time, like, don't go up in the air and then look to throw a pass. And it's like, sometimes that's the only angle you could get to make the pass you want to make.
Absolutely.
It's not my fault. I could see the court and see that if I jump, I could make this pass.
Well, that's the thing is, like, and some people, yes, I'm with you, because some people do jump without knowing what they're going to do, and then they're stuck in the air. And then
That's different.
And then some people see the floor and they just know that they have to jump to make a pass. So they're not jumping and just like, oh boy. They're
What do I do now?
Yeah, jumping to just get an angle. No, he does that. There's a couple of guys in the league that do that, but he's the I would say might be the best at it.
He also might be one of the only guys who can throw a true no-look pass.
Yeah.
Like, he's not one of the guys who, like, throws
looks
the pass
and turns away.
Looks away. He's already not looking, and he's throwing the pass.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that about him.
Yep.
Okay, so he goes out. Thunder go up 18-16. Indiana obviously calls a timeout, or the refs call a timeout. We get the visual of him being carried back to the locker room. We know what's going on. There's still a Game 7 to be played. And the first Pacers possession after Haliburton goes out, OKC forces a 24-second violation. And it just looks like that happens, and you kind of think like, oh yeah, that's exactly how the rest of this game is going to go.
Yep.
No one out there is going to be able to get their offense organized. They don't have their big shot taker.
And just an emotional letdown. Like,
oh yeah, like schematically is its own thing.
Right.
Losing the guy who embodies your entire team is a whole other kind of. I mean, I've never been in that position where I've been playing in a game and had someone go down with an injury that gruesome and that like just zaps you in a way where, like, how do you get your head back into what the job is?
Right.
I have no idea how the Pacers did it, because it felt like in that moment, like, okay, this is going to end up being a 25-point game at the half.
Yep.
But man, credit to Indiana, credit to Rick Carlisle for getting these guys back into the right headspace. They fucking fought and fought and fought. They kind of muck things up a little bit.
Yep.
Siakam gives them a couple buckets right away. And we get to the end of the first quarter, and OKC's only up 3.
Yeah. And
it's 25-22.
And RJ talked about it a little bit in the broadcast, but the energy kind of was brought down on both sides after the injury. And it impacted OKC too. It almost felt like they came down a level of intensity. And towards the end of the quarter, and they were able to cause some turnovers, and they were putting good ball pressure, but there just wasn't that like attack. So yeah, it felt like the game kind of steadied. How are the Pacers going to score? But also, like, are they going to do it for Haliburton? Is OKC out of it? There's a lot of questions going into the second quarter.
Yeah, that Jefferson, what he said, that I took note of that. That comes like about halfway through the second quarter. He notes on the broadcast that it seems like OKC has been the team more impacted by Haliburton's injury. And in a weird way, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, you let your
because
guard
if you're
down.
OKC at that point, like, not only have you game planned a certain way, and you're so used to having Haliburton on the floor, and you know what you need to do, or theoretically what you need to do to stop him or slow him down, and now all that changes. But in addition to that, there had to be somewhere in the back of their collective mind where when Indiana doesn't go away and they just keep hanging around, it had to sink into their head like, oh shit, we can't lose this game with Haliburton only playing 7 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I think that probably comes into effect after. I think the initial, you almost have like you let your guard down a little bit. And
Yeah.
I think we may have covered this in the 2008 Olympics when we went over it. But like in the game versus Argentina, USA went up by a bunch, and then Manu got hurt, and they came back, and because you think like, oh, their best player's hurt, and you could become laxed. And there was one thing that was very evident about this Pacers team: they were going to fight you. I mean, this is I hope Dan Campbell likes the Pacers, or if he likes basketball, I bet he likes the Pacers, and I bet TJ McConnell is his favorite player because they'll bite your kneecaps off.
McConnell, I mean, we're gonna get to McConnell in the third quarter.
Yeah,
because that was just the one shining moment of TJ McConnell's NBA career.
Yep.
But the second quarter, it really is like the depth and the resilience of Indiana that's on display. 7 different players score in the second quarter. They hold OKC to just 32% shooting from the field in the second quarter. And looking at it now, I guess maybe we shouldn't be as surprised as it felt in the moment, because like this was a team that was incredibly balanced scoring throughout the regular season, throughout the playoffs. Like I think that during the regular season, they had 7 guys average at least 10 points per game.
Yep.
And Haliburton, he averaged like 18 per game in the regular season. Siakam was their leading scorer. I think he averaged 21 a game. And then it's just like, okay, we got Nesmith, we got Nembhard, we got Mathurin off the bench, Miles Turner. Like, they do have a lot of options. They just don't have the guy who normally gets them into their sets and is pushing the pace on fast breaks. But they do enough to cobble together some competitiveness, and like they catch some breaks here. Like the very first possession of the second quarter, the Thunder, nice set, leads to an alley-oop opportunity for Hartenstein, and he blows the dunk. Pacers come down, Mathurin drills a 3. Right out of the gate, we're 25-25. So they're catching some breaks. There are a few other examples of that in the second quarter for OKC. But, like, it really is just, like, grit and biting kneecaps for Indiana, figuring out ways to make this shit work.
Yep. And, they start to just, like you said, scrap, get to the free throw line, just manufacture points. But Nesmith does hit a 3 off an offensive rebound to tie the game. And it's the 6th for the Pacers so far in this game. And although they're tied, you do sense like they might have to hit 18. Like they're going to have to hit a good amount of threes. And I will note, too, early on in that quarter, Shai is sitting. Shai does sit as the Pacers and, kind of go back and forth with OKC. But Shai comes back, gets back into the mid-range, hits a pull-up for his 12th point of the game, and OKC takes a lead with 7 minutes left. And then on the next possession, Cason Wallace hits a 3 off just an amazing play from Shai. I really underestimated what a great playmaker and passer Shai is. I did him a disservice. He gets into the lane, and he's so good playing with his shoulders to create space. And then there's so much attention to him, and he's willing to kick it out. Guys are just getting wide open jumpers. I feel like in the second quarter, Shai starts to kind of take the game over.
Well, he has 4 assists at the end of 1. We get to halftime, and he has 7 assists. He finishes with double digits in this game, and although they're completely different players, Shai as a passer reminds me a little bit of, like, Steph as a passer, where, like, because he's not the prototypical kind of Chris Paul, John Stockton, we're running the offense in a very traditional way, and we're racking up double-digit assists every game, you kind of lose sight of how skilled they are as passers. Like, I've always said that in addition to his defense, passing is like the most underrated skill for Steph Curry.
Yeah.
I think he is just an absolutely phenomenal passer. And I feel the same way about Shai. And there were a lot of instances in this game specifically where that comes to light. And it's kind of like what you said, like the Pacers just did a really good job of closing all those gaps. And it kind of left SGA with no other answers, but it was like he was always making the right play.
Yep.
It felt like.
And he plays at such a good pace. Like, he's never sped up.
Never.
He gets to his spots, and then he takes what the defense gives him. If you're going to play him in one-on-one, he's going to bump you with his shoulder and get enough space to shoot a mid-range. And, you know, if you collapse, he's willing to make the right play. And, you know, we are at this. It's kind of weird because so much has changed in the NBA since, you know, Campfire in our first game in 2000. But really, Shai is he's like a 90s, 2000s player, the way he plays and the way he's able to get into the mid-range, and he's so efficient. He's got a post game, but he's just so good in that in-between area.
He feels more like, and I only put this together today, actually. I was watching some highlights just of Shai as Maria was putting clothes away, or she was doing something in her closet, and I had already done my yard work. I kind of checked out.
Yep.
She was like, okay, you did your thing. She was doing something productive in her closet, and I was watching SGA highlights, and it dawned on me that he's probably more similar to like MJ and Kobe.
Yeah, without a
than
doubt.
we give him credit for. Like, he doesn't have that athleticism that either of those two guys had in the way that, like, we think about athleticism. But just his ability to get to whatever spot he wants, to always get into his mid-range.
I mean, he's putting up Jordan numbers.
Hit.
He's putting up Jordan numbers. Just let's say it.
We've already covered that. Like he's already in the midst of a stretch that statistically is as good as anything we've seen from a 4 or 5 year run of MJ, Kobe, Wade, Harden, Jerry West, whatever guard you want to put in there. It's a 5-year run on par with all of them.
Yep.
I think today was the first time that it really hit me that, like, stylistically there's some shared DNA there.
For sure.
Like, way more than I realized.
For sure. Like, a lot of their moves and the way they get into their mid-range is there, and the way they play with their shoulders, and they're able to just bump people and get people. And that's the thing with Shai is he's a slim guy, and he doesn't jump out the gym. But there are some athletic, obvious things that jump out at. Like, he's a little bit stronger than you could, and he's very, like, twitchy, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, he's got, good twitch to him. He's not going to just jump over you, but he has these movements where he's able to just get by you and get a shot off. But as far as his actual moves, they are kind of similar.
And that's why I said, like, he's not athletic in the way that we think of for, like, MJ, where it's, like, explosive and jumping out of the gym and stuff like that. Like, being twitchy like that is athleticism.
Yeah.
Having the kind of balance that he has is athleticism. It's just different things that is maybe, like, a little harder to quantify.
Right.
By no means did I try to insinuate that
No.
he wasn't a good actor. No, he's incredible. So yeah, he comes back in. He's doing his SGA things, but still, Indiana won't go away. really good Mathurin game.
Yep.
He already had one big game in the finals. He hits an ISO 3 over Shai to give Indiana a 43-42 lead with 2 minutes left. And that was the first time where I got the sense that the OKC crowd was feeling the pressure. It was the first time when they started to get quiet, and they're standing the whole game. They've been engaged and loud and just a great playoff home crowd. But Mathurin hits that 3, and then there's like a murmur in the crowd after that shot, and it sort of gives off like a, whoa, wait a second, we're down 1 right now?
Right.
Like it gives off that kind of vibe. And that's the point actually where Jefferson says that about how since Haliburton has gone out, it's been the Thunder that have been more impacted by that moment than Indiana.
Yep, absolutely. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Shai comes down and answers right away to give them the lead back.
He does. You are absolutely right. He does. And that is Shai in a nutshell.
But then Nembhard answers with a 3 of his own, and the Pacers do end up taking a 48-47 lead into half. So you are right. Like they're fighting, they're clawing, they're putting game pressure on OKC. The crowd feels it. It just appeared, at least it appeared to me, there's one guy on a team that just is doing whatever he wants, and it feels like he's just answering any question. And I think he might have the quote of the year already, currently, when he said that he has all the answers, he's just waiting for the questions on the test. And, like, that's how it felt. Like, it's sincerely how it feels. Like, he has all of your answers to what you're going to do. He's just waiting to see what you're going to throw at him, and he'll answer it. So, yeah.
And, you know, we kind of hit on this already. Like, that first half, he's only 5 for 12 from the field.
Yep.
Like, Indiana is doing their job. Shai has all the answers. You're absolutely right. But, like,
they're making it hard on him.
Indiana is at least, like, it's a complicated word problem that they're throwing at him, where he has to sit there and read it a couple times, maybe underline a couple words and be like, okay, I know what I'm doing here now. It takes him a little bit to figure it out.
Absolutely.
And, like, that is the credit to Carlisle. He you know, bamboozled LeBron in the 2011 finals. Like, obviously his game plan there was fantastic. And to make Shai work the way that he had to work throughout this series and throughout this game, the
third quarter is where
the fact that it was a 1-point game going into the second half was, like, I remember just getting to that point and being like, okay, I'm really going to have to start reconsidering what I know about basketball if they actually win this game without Haliburton for all but 7 minutes of it.
Start the third quarter, and Chet scores right away off a putback. And then OKC has an awesome defensive possession, and it leads to a Lou Dort moonball shot that goes in. And it's like, oh my gosh, OKC's up for it. It might be time now. But then, like, Siakam hits a 3, and they just keep answering. And this is where, okay, so this is what I had in my notes about Shai. So Siakam hits a 3 to put the lead to 1. And then Shai goes in and creates a basket. And I state, the Thunder run great stuff, but at times it feels like Shai's really their only shot creator. As I'm writing this, J-Dub gets a steal and score, and that's what makes up for it. Is they score so much off their defense that they don't really need that much shot creation on offense.
Well, here's the stat. They have 18 points off turnovers in the third quarter alone.
My gosh. That's a heck of a... It's like we planned it. But then Indiana
in the third quarter alone, like it, yeah. I will say the first note I took, and we'll get more into to OKC in this third quarter, and obviously we got to talk McConnell. It felt like the worst thing to happen for Indiana was that this game went to halftime.
Yeah. Yep.
They have momentum going into the locker room, but now they have to think about the fact that they've lost Haliburton.
Yep.
It kind of feels a little bit like with OKC, they get that 20 minutes to regroup. Thunder players get a chance to catch their breath a little bit. Gives the fans some time to regroup.
Yep.
And now they're all the way locked in to start that third quarter. They get those couple early buckets. It feels like they're going to make that big run. Indiana continues to have answers, despite the fact that, like we said, just it's a barrage of fast break and points off turnovers for OKC. So we get to a point at 65-56. OKC leads. After back-to-back possessions where there's a turnover on one end and it ends with OKC hitting a three on the other end.
Off a Shai assist.
Yes. Now we get to McConnell.
Oh, man. He was so good. I mean, in the way he scrapped his way into the point, like it's like he was battling for every inch of the floor. Because they were hounding him. They were hounding all of Indiana's guards. Just getting the ball up the floor was, a chore. But for him to go on this run and single-handedly really keep him in the game, it was one of the cooler things I think I've ever seen, honestly.
So tough going to the rim. He's hesitant right now to shoot that through. McConnell penetration and finish once again.
Boy, his toughness, north-south speed, incredible.
McConnell on the drive, pulls up shot. It's good. McConnell Mayhem once again, and here in Game 7. McConnell so confident, gets to the rim. Scores again. TJ McConnell pulls up, puts it in. He is dominating here in his third quarter. 14 points, he has their last 10. Defense intensity is increased. McConnell pulls up, jump shot, got it. TJ McConnell, the man is a menace.
We were witnessing greatness.
It was a 5-minute out-of-body experience. That still doesn't totally make sense. Obviously, McConnell's been around for a long time. Really good backup point guard in the NBA. But just the fact that he was being hounded by Cason Wallace in this stretch. Really good defender who will probably be first team all defense this year.
Yeah.
He's hitting shots over Chet.
Yep.
In the paint, do you want to go through bucket by bucket? I don't even know what to do. The first one he gets, it's the lay-in where he goes crashing into the basket stanchion.
Yep.
And that's vintage TJ McConnell.
Yep.
Then he gets the quick lay-in over the taller defender's outstretched hands.
With the left, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Left on the right side.
Yep. Then he hits a jumper in the paint over Cason Wallace, which prompts Breen to utter the phrase McConnell Mayhem.
Yep.
Similar to Hulkamania, Linsanity, McConnell Mayhem. He's cooking Cason Wallace this whole sequence. The next one, he gets a two-handed lay-in over Chet in the paint. It almost looks like a set shot from 3 feet away. Very strange. Then he gets a stop and pop baseline jumper over SGA. And then the last one is an elbow jumper over Hartenstein. And Breen just yells, "The man is a menace!" And I was like, I forgot how iconic this run was. And I'm, you said you were the biggest Pacers fan in the world at that point. I was not that far behind you because it was awe-inspiring to watch a man who looks the way that TJ McConnell does do what he was doing. It was fantastic.
Absolutely. And he takes us to the end of the quarter really. But I honestly think that's probably the most disappointing or sad moments of the quarter is you get this explosion out of TJ McConnell, but somehow OKC's up 13 going into the fourth quarter. They left it all out there. And really we could get into the fourth quarter, but ultimately the game stays at about 12 to 20, anywhere in that, but it never goes below, I don't think, 10, maybe 9. And it's just they just ran out.
Yeah, it gets up to 22. That's the biggest lead of the fourth quarter, and then we get to a point where it's a 10-point game with 2.5 minutes left, and that's as close as it gets. And I remember we got to that point with 2.5 minutes left. I think it was a Nemhard basket.
Yep.
And I remember trying to talk myself into it. Okay, yeah, they've done this all postseason long. Maybe they got one last,
Well, they keep
everything's on the line. We have one burst left in us, one final breath.
Yep.
But they just didn't have their magician, the guy who was the one responsible for pulling the rabbit out of the hat every time.
And they do go on a run in the fourth quarter. They're just too far behind. They end up going on 11-1 run. And they cut the lead to, I think it's 10 or, you said 10. It's just that lead grows to 22, and it's a little too much for them without Haliburton. But they don't stop fighting. That's one thing that right up until the end, they're still very competitive defensively. They left it all out there. Nothing but respect for all of the Pacers, and for that I hope they get the number 1 pick in this upcoming draft.
Now you're speaking my language, Vinney.
Yep.
Glad you're on that bandwagon.
Absolutely.
So OKC ends up winning their first NBA title. Although I guess Seattle wins in the 70s. I don't know how they're going to litigate that. The 7th unique champion in a row, which is the longest stretch in league history without a repeat winner.
Yes, sir.
So Raptors win in 2019, then Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets, Celtics, Thunder. Shai wins Finals MVP for good reason, and there was a little bit of a push for J-Dub after his 40-point game. It had to be Shai for all the reasons that you said. He just is their offense. Everything, they get a lot of transition points, and J-Dub's part of that, obviously, but Shai's the guy who makes it all work. Yep. He averages 30 per game in the finals. And that's that. That is the 25th game that we have covered for NBA Campfire Season 1. So what's your takeaway from this experiment that we just were partaking in for the last 5-6 months? What are some lessons you've learned? It could be about just the state of the NBA, any particular players, teams, anything. What is kind of the lasting thought you'll have from doing this?
So it's a thought that I was hoping for going into this, and it's like an experiment that tested out to be true. Over the last 25 years, although the gameplay has changed, the style of play, some of the rules, the fact that we're so into like data and analytics, and how do we give ourselves the best chance to win. The NBA has really always been about the players, and to me, we've covered 25 years now, and every year that we discuss what game are we going to talk about or who we're going to talk about, there was always a handful of great players in the league, and that just hasn't changed. So I will continue to fight with anyone and everyone that basketball has not changed. The style of play has, sure, but the product is still great. I think we have amazing talent, and we had amazing talent. It was just awesome to really fully go back and take a deep dive into the history, especially, we're still relatively young, so it's not like we remember too much past, what we started watching. So to go back and get that nostalgia, and it just, to me, confirmed, basketball's in a great spot, man. Great spot.
Very well put. I'm with you. I mean, we talked about it somewhat recently. I actually think it was as we were planning this episode. This game does feel so much different than that first game that we covered, and I wish I had it. I wish I had the stats of that first game that we covered, but in this game there were 68 threes taken.
You don't think the Lakers Trailblazers there was 73s?
I feel like maybe there was 9. Was there 9, or is 9 the number I'm thinking of when Bob Costas said that Rasheed Wallace?
No, that's what it was. He had made 9 all playoffs.
Yeah, he said something about how he was like a long distance weapon or something like that.
Maybe a marksman.
Yes, a marksman. Yeah. So there are obvious differences, like you pointed out, in the way that the game is played. Differences in the way that the game is covered. So there, just pulled it up. 34 threes, so half as many.
Yep, literally.
As the game that we covered today. But you're absolutely right. I was talking to Maria about this the other night, and it was one of those where you've been in the same position where I'm talking about basketball lovingly, and she doesn't totally get it. And Bianca is more of a basketball fan than Maria is, but I know you've had these moments where you're like, I just wish you appreciated it as much as me. And I was trying to explain it to Maria, where basketball, fundamentally, for all these changes that have happened, more threes, more space, playing at a faster pace, more analytics, more international players, differences in salary cap, the way that the game is covered by the media, all these things change. But ultimately, it's a game where you have 5 guys, and the best chance of winning in any given game is those 5 players working in conjunction with each other. And yet, there's something so amazing about basketball in that it is the most individual sport as well, where one person can stand out in such a monumental sort of iconic way, despite the fact that the best way that basketball could be played is by 5 people doing it together. And there's just something really beautiful to me in that, you can have that individual expression while also being part of something so much greater than you.
Yeah.
And we've seen that over and over again throughout this 25 years that we covered, where the teams that have the most success are generally the ones who blend that individual brilliance with cohesion from top down.
Yep.
I mean, the Lakers at their best before the Kobe and Shaq relationship broke up, that was the recipe. The Spurs for 15 years, that was the recipe. LeBron in Miami, that was the recipe. The Curry,
Yep.
Kerr, like that era of Warriors, that's the recipe. And I don't know, man. I'm with you. Like this experiment netted the exact result that I hoped for,
Yep.
which was we'd get to the end of this, and my big takeaway would be like, basketball is just the fucking best, and it doesn't matter what era
Yeah.
it belongs to.
Yeah. And it's so funny too because it's like you could watch a different era and it's different. Like it is a little bit different. But it's still,
Yeah.
you could still look and really look for what you just described. Look for that one person who has greatness in them, but then look at how the team that is most successful has a bunch of guys who just star in their roles. And their roles, they could show some self, in those too. Like they don't have to just be in a box. Like they could, you know,
Everybody gets that
yeah,
opportunity.
yeah,
That's the thing. It's not just the star player who gets that chance.
right.
There's a chance every possession. You could be the fifth option for your team. The ball gets swung to you late shot clock. You have a chance to do something, hit a shot in someone's face, put somebody on a poster, drive to the basket, make one more extra pass. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
It
I
was
mean,
so much fun
yeah, it is.
to
It
do
is.
this and to just hit all these different eras and alongside you trying our best to like chart the ways that the NBA has changed but also has stayed the same and just appreciate every iteration of the league. Obviously, you know, we could get to those games in 2003, 2004 and talk about how there are some rock fights. But there's beauty in that
Yeah.
too. In a really strange way, there's something beautiful about the Pistons and the Pacers playing a game where the final score is 69-65 and then doing a game from the bubble where it's 129 to 125.
Right.
And those games, like you would think like, okay, that like something really radical has changed in that time, but it's still just basketball.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's beautiful storytelling. You get these guys that they just bring you into this light of greatness that you were lucky to see. And yeah, it's different than any other sport because one person can make such an impact. And that's from the star to a bench player. Any game you could come in and take over. I don't think that the left guard on the Minnesota Vikings is going to take over a game, or I don't think a relief pitcher for the Twins is going to come in and just dominate the game and just save the day. But you catch Patty Mills in 2013, he might do it to you.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Fucking TJ McConnell.
TJ McConnell, yeah, he's more of like a strong safety, I would say. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, it's been amazing. I think we're excited for what we are thinking about next in our next venture. A little bit similar, story, but we'll have a twist to it.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the end of season 1 of NBA Campfire. We'll be coming back sporadically throughout the postseason on our Modern Flame feed. And I'm sure that'll probably continue throughout the draft and first few days of free agency. And then next fall, we'll be back for season 2 of NBA Campfire. We're going to keep our plans close to the vest for now. But once 2026-27 season comes back, we'll be back too. Vin, it was an absolute pleasure to cover this amazing sport with you all year long. A sport that we love so much that we bonded over as kids playing little hoops in the playroom upstairs or in at your house, playing in driveways and gyms as teammates and opponents. It's been great. Now, each episode, you generally end things by saying what?
Get your marshmallows ready.
Well, I got my marshmallows ready.
Let's go, my man. We got the mallows.
And I got a candle.
This is what it's all about right here. Oh, yeah. We like that.
Toast this baby up. You feel that heat?
Feel the warmth. I feel the warmth. Oh, man. Thank you, everyone, for that. Ooh, get that nice gold. Hey, now. We like to...
Marshmallows are ready, baby.
Marshmallows are ready.
NBA Campfire will be back next fall. Vin got the marshmallows ready.
That's right. Stay around the campfire.